Yes, so the service endpoint, this is the theoretical points for that. Service endpoint extends your VNet private IP space, the Azure service over the Azure backbone network. So this is the point. You might get a question, one single question might be related to this. The service endpoint actually facilitates your connection, storage access or the storage connection. It's not related to only storage. There are other Microsoft services also which can be activated and which can be accessed over the using the service endpoint. But it will be happening over Azure backbone network. Right? This is important. This is the important point. That means uh, not over the public internet. As I explained you on the whiteboard, the connection from your virtual machine, which is in the virtual network, and the virtual network is nothing but a network on Azure platform. So when you're accessing a file share on the storage from the virtual network, from that virtual machine, it doesn't have to go to internet and then come back to the storage account on the public endpoint, the public IP address. So since we are having this VNet as well as the storage on the same platform, same cloud network, this service endpoint facilitates you to connect directly to that particular service over Microsoft Backbone. So this all happens in the background. So you just have to do some configuration, which we'll be seeing in the lab. This means your VM subnet can access Azure services privately, even though the service itself has a public endpoint. Which service we are talking about right now? We in the example what we have taken, it's only about this storage app. I've given it the example. Similarly, any Microsoft service can access or you can activate the service endpoint for it and access those services from your Azure virtual network directly over the Microsoft backbone instead of going through the internet and coming back to that particular service. So even though the service itself has a public endpoint, so your storage account by default when you create it, it will have a public endpoint created. That means it will have a public IP assigned and it can be accessed over the internet from anywhere, right? So even though that service has a public endpoint, what we are doing is in order to have this a secure connection and a fast connection from virtual network itself to the service, we're creating a service endpoint. Okay, so this explains you. This is the simple diagram which explains you. Just try to understand what it says here. If you go block by block, it will be easier for you to understand what this diagram means. So let's look at this one. So this is your virtual network, right? This is how we draw it all the time. This is the virtual network boundary which you have on your Azure network, Azure platform. So within that virtual network, I have one VNet, subnet, and this subnet has one virtual machine. So these are all the private IPs which on which the VM is working. And in our same account, in same Azure account, we also have created a storage account. This is Azure storage. You see, this block is particularly the Azure storage. Now, this storage account will be basically accessible over internet by default, right? But we don't want to access from this VM. We don't want to go to the internet and come back to the storage account. We don't want this long path and the insecure path. So with the help of service endpoint, which is basically a configuration which we'll see in the lab. With the help of that service endpoint, you will be able to access this storage over the Microsoft backbone network. So the connectivity remains within Microsoft Azure. You can see this. This block explains you that this is the Microsoft Azure boundary. So you're accessing your storage from your virtual machine over the Microsoft backbone network instead of going over the internet and coming back to the storage. I hope that is clear. It's a simple diagram. And then we also have something called private link. Private link, or you can, this is also called as private endpoint. We'll see what it is. Private link allows you to access Azure Platform as a Service, PaaS, right? As services privately using a private IP inside your VNet. Again, by reading through these sentences, you might not really get it what exactly it means. I'll give you the explanation again on the whiteboard for this. So for now, just to cover this part, you see here the this first column explains you the feature, and the second column is about the service endpoint. The third one is about the private endpoint. So IP type, public service IP. Service endpoint works on the public IP address, but it remains the connection still remains over the Microsoft network. And in the private endpoint, you need the private IP address. It will work over the private IP net, VNet. Traffic path, it goes over the Azure backbone. Okay, the connectivity from your virtual machine to the storage will happen over Azure backbone network. And this also happens over the Azure backbone, but and you don't need the public IP. It will work with the private IP. So you don't need to have your storage account with the public IP address in this case. Service still has a public endpoint. That means in our example, we have taken an example of the storage, which will have a public endpoint. That means the public IP address will be assigned to it. And in this private, with the help of private endpoint, no public exposure is required. So you can create a storage account. You can remove the public IP from it completely. You don't really need to have public IP assigned to it, and make it accessible over the internet. So we'll see how this private endpoint also works. And when it comes to cost, the service endpoint is free. Free, of course, you don't have to pay for this configuration. Private endpoint has data processing per GB. So they charge you based on the data transfer between your virtual machines and the storage. Right. So this explains you. This is a simple diagram here again. Service endpoint. You can see that we have a VNet, we have virtual machine, and we are creating a configuration to access the Azure resource over the Microsoft background. So here in the private link, you have a private endpoint and Azure service. So this will be a private connectivity. I'll probably will go to the lab right now, and you'll have much more idea on this. So after this, we are discussing load balancers, firewall, WAF, and other topics which I have mentioned in the group. So let's get to the lab, wherein you will have very good understanding and the idea of what we are talking about, service endpoint and private endpoint. So it's important to understand what lab we're doing. If you see here, I'll explain you the scenario first. You can see this scenario. This actually shows you what we are doing in this lab. We are creating a VNet, a virtual network, with the two subnets, subnet 1 and subnet 2, so same subnet. Two different virtual networks here. 1 second. Okay, create a virtual network with one subnet, add a subnet and enable a service endpoint, create Azure resource and allow network access to it from only a subnet, deploy a virtual machine, confirm access to resources from a subnet. Okay. Okay, so let's understand this first before we continue doing the lab. So it says virtual network service endpoint enables you to limit access to Azure service resources to a virtual network subnet. You can also remove internet access to these resources. Service endpoints provides direct connection from your virtual network to supported Azure services. Supported Azure services means not all the platform as a service is supported. Only very few and limited services are supported for enabling the service endpoint, allowing you to use virtual network private address space to access Azure service. Traffic destined to Azure resources through service endpoints always stay on Microsoft Azure backbone network. So if you look at the diagram here, why this is showing different one when we Maximize. Okay. So here if you see in this diagram, what we're doing is we're creating a virtual network. Okay, in this virtual network, we are creating multiple subnets. We are creating uh, subnet 1, wherein we have VM1 and VM2, and we are having Azure Bastion subnet. Does anyone remember what is Bastion subnet?
Yes, to
Anyone?
access the VM securely
Exactly.
over
So
the
it functions as a in real-time scenario, you can call it as a jump server. You
jump
know,
server.
yeah, jump server, wherein you have one particular server through which you access other services or other servers. So Bastion works similarly as a jump server. So we are deploying the Bastion subnet. That means from outside, you as an Azure administrator, you can through Azure portal, you can connect to your virtual machines through Bastion subnet. So instead of accessing VM1, VM2 directly, you will be accessing it through Bastion. So this is the lab we are creating. In this, you can see we have a storage account, and on this storage account, we are enabling the service endpoint. So that means we are making sure we are ensuring that this storage should be accessed over the Microsoft backbone network, not over the internet. So over the internet, it will be blocked. So we this is the sample diagram, and we'll be working on that setup now. So it has all these tasks. See, it will be refreshing your previous topics because we are creating a virtual network here with one subnet. We are adding a subnet and enabling the service endpoint. We're doing all of these tasks. So stay with with patience and follow this. This will be definitely helpful for you to understand in detail what the service endpoint means. So let's continue with this lab. There's my Azure account. And if your Azure subscription has expired, you can create another account if you have another, what do you say, the credit card or debit card. You can subscribe and use those $200 for practicing your labs again. One second. Okay. So we are starting with creating a virtual network and Azure Bastion host, right? So this is the first task we're doing. Let me also share whiteboard at the same time so that we know what we are working on. Let me share the screen. Right. So along with the lab step-by-step procedure, we'll also draw on the whiteboard to see how we're building this lab and building the different components for it. For example, we're starting with where is it landing on? I think I closed it. No, it's here. Okay. Right. So the first exercise is create a virtual network and a bastion host. So let's go to the whiteboard. So this is what we are doing now. We are going to create a virtual network and we are going to create a bastion subnet. This will be like your web server, as I told you. So when you want to manage your virtual machines, you'll be logging into the bastion host. So let's continue. This is the first task we're doing. So in the portal, I'm going to the virtual networks. Okay. Uh, and start creating the virtual network. And this time, if you see, you will see it a little different because earlier in our previous labs, we have created the virtual network separately and we have configured and created Bastion separately after creating the VNet. But here in this exercise, we are creating the VNet along with the Bastion configuration. So the first thing we are doing is the creating the virtual network. So let's go to the create virtual network, and these are the instructions we'll follow. We are going to create a test RG. This is a resource group. I hope you still remember what the resource group is. So basically, after completing a lab, we just have to get rid of this resource group so that all the configuration, everything, whatever we have built, will be destroyed along with it to stop recurring your expenses. Okay, so that's the resource group name, and the VNet name is VNet1. Going to be VNet1, and we are going to create it in East US2. I don't know why particularly East US2, but let's follow the exercise. We have East US2 here. Okay, right. So this we are here we are creating virtual network. In the virtual network, we don't have a resource group already existing, and you know that for every resource in Azure which you create, you must have a resource group created first. So you must have a subscription and a resource group available in order to create and associate these resources to it. But here, this is our first resource group we are creating. First resource in Azure Virtual Network. We are creating the resource group along with it. So this is a virtual network name, VNet1, and this is the region where we are creating it. And next, we are here. We are going to the next step, to the security tab, right? So look at this one. You're at the process of creating the virtual network. So in virtual network, you have all these different options available while creating the virtual network itself. And all of these options can be modified once you create the virtual network. So in earlier exercises, we just created the basic, we just followed the basic tab and IP addressing and finished creating the virtual networks. So here now what we are going to do in the security tab in the Azure Bastion section. So in this security tab, we have Azure Bastion section. Okay, it gives you again a very quick description and very precise to tell you what exactly Azure Bastion is. Azure Bastion is a paid service that provides secure RDP or SSH connectivity to your virtual machines over TLS. Okay, don't wonder what TLS is. This is the next version of your HTTPS access. Okay, when you connect via Azure Bastion, your virtual machines do not need public IP addresses. This is the objective of having the Azure Bastion activated on the virtual network. Okay, this is fine. We have read through this. Okay, in Azure Bastion, we are going to give it a name. See, it says it as Azure Bastion hostname. So it's like a jump server. Microsoft is activating a server component for this particular requirement. It's creating like a jump server for you in your network. So Bastion, enable Azure Bastion, and we are going to follow the name which as per the lab. That's the Bastion and Azure Bastion public IP address. So here we have an option to create public IP address. Okay, let's create a public IP address and give it a name. Right, click OK. So that's the public IP we're creating for Bastion, and we're going next. After this, IP addressing tab. Right. So here, what you're doing is in the address space in subnets, select the default subnet and edit the default subnet. So we are going to create. So it is. You can see here while you're creating a virtual network, with this range /16, by default it creates one subnet that we know for sure automatically. And since we are activating the Azure Bastion service, it is also creating a subnet for Azure Bastion by itself. Now, as per this exercise, we are going to rename this subnet name from default to something else. So I'm clicking on edit. Uh, the name of the subnet is going to be subnet 1. Okay. And it's going to retain the same IP addresses, default /16, that's the range. And the starting address is going to be this, that's fine. And it's going to have /24 subnet. So 256 addresses will get. And that's it. I think we save this. So see, we have just renamed the default subnet to subnet 1. And now we are going ahead and creating it. Review and create. This will validate your configuration to make sure that you're not missing any uh, mandatory fields and your information is correct. So validation passed, and we are going to create a virtual network. This is our subscription name. This is our resource group name. This is the VNet name. This is the region where we are creating it, and we are enabling the Azure Bastion. And these are the IP addresses we are using. Okay, so let's put this in our whiteboard so that you understand what we have done so far. So our subnet, 1 second. So what is the subnet range we are using? The big virtual network range 10.0.0.0/16. That's our virtual network, VNet 1. And in this VNet, we are creating one subnet. That is subnet 1, right? Yes, that is subnet 1, and the IP address is 10.0.0.0 again. /24. That's the IP range we are using. And for Bastion, we are using 10.0.1.0/26. The Bastion host subnet is created, it has taken the range by itself, /26. Okay, wherein you'll get 64 addresses, 64 IP addresses you will get in this. So this is what we have done so far. We have created a virtual network. In the virtual network, we have created one subnet, subnet 1, and we have created a Bastion subnet as well. So now we are going ahead and review and create it. Okay, create. So that while that creates, we'll go to the next steps and see what is next. And now we are doing service endpoints. Okay, service endpoints are enabled per service, per subnet. So this has to be done per subnet. In the search menu, we go to the virtual networks again, and we go to the VNet 1, subnets, add subnet. So we are going to add one more subnet in this exercise. We have to make this network a little bigger. Like this as this is a VNet. We are going to create one more subnet. And the name of the subnet is going to be subnet private. That's the name of the subnet. We can name it anything. I'll just put it as private. Okay. That's a private subnet, and it's going to have the IP range of this 10.0.2.0/24. And by default, within a virtual network, every virtual machine in every subnet can communicate and talk to each other without any additional configuration or requirements. Right. So let's create this subnet now. How we create the separate additional subnet in our virtual network? Our virtual network is still in creation process. So once it is done, we'll go ahead and create the subnet. So we basically go to the virtual networks from here, search for it. And if the virtual network is created, we should be able to see the virtual network name here. And the name of the VNet is VNet1 as per the lab. Let's take it some time. So what we are doing is we are creating a virtual network, subnet private, and we are creating endpoint. So this service endpoint is activated per subnet. So in this subnet, we are creating this service for storage access. So there is specific subnet we are creating for the service endpoint. That's what you need to understand. Okay, so after creating a subnet, restrict network access for subnet. So by default, it says by default, all virtual instances in a subnet can communicate with any resource. This is what I have just told you. You can limit communication to and from all resources in a subnet by creating network security groups. And we have seen this as well. So you're repairing many things in the labs. This is a very beneficial thing. You'll be revisiting all the topics which we have covered. So we are now also looking at network security groups here. So we'll see how we can do that. So what is the network security group? Anyone can tell you? Can anyone tell me what is NSG? I would like to hear from Junaid particularly. Junaid, if you are still there, what is the network security group? NSG. Yes, Junaid. Are you
Yes,
still there? What is
yes.
NSG? Network security group. What it is and where you use it?
Uh,
If you don't know the answer, that's fine. Let it pass it to someone else. Aja, NSG, you're still with me?
Yes. It controls the traffic, no, allow and deny. We can.
Exactly. That's the basic functionality of NSG. That's really it's a basic firewall, you can say. With the help of NSG network security group, you can create inbound and outbound connect rules, communication rules, right? So that is what the NSG is. In short, it is called NSG. Otherwise, it is network security group, wherein you can create access rules inbound and outbound. This VNet creation is taking a long time. Let me see what is happening here. Okay, we have the VNet created, VNet1, which we created, and it also created the resource group. It has to do that. Without this, it cannot create the VNet1. Let's look at the VNet1. In VNet1, we have how many subnets we have? We have one subnet which we created along with the VNet itself. And it is not, yeah, it is still there. It is there now. So we have subnet 1, which we created, which is the default subnet. And it has also created the Bastion subnet. Now we are going to create another subnet as per the lab. So let's look at this, and it's going to be called subnet private. Name of the subnet is going to be subnet private, and it's going to use the IP range. So you can see the IP address. It has already chosen the range because it is doing that in sequence. So now service endpoints. So you can see in this subnet creation, the difference is we are activating the service endpoint here. So here we can create the service endpoint. Now, for which service we are going to use this? So this we are going to use for storage access. Access of storage. Did I select it? Storage. Yeah. So we are going to use the service endpoint to access the storage service and click save. So this is done. This is the difference. Now you have seen for the first time, while creating a subnet, we are activating a service endpoint on that particular subnet. So that means your storage access will be enabled from this subnet to the storage over the Microsoft public, Microsoft backbone network, not the public network. Okay, so now we have how many subnets? We got three subnets in total as per our diagram. We got a subnet one, we got a private subnet, we got Bastion subnet as well. So next step is now we are restricting network access for a subnet. What restriction we are going to place? Let's see. Let's look at that. So first of all, we are creating a network security group for doing that. So let's create a network security group. And we are going to give it a name. We have this parameters here, NSG storage. So we are going to create this rule set particularly for storage access. It's taking a while here. Okay, let's see. So here we are just creating a network security group, which is not having any rule set. It will have a default rule set. Then after that, we are creating the rules. These rules we are creating in the NSG. Okay, what is the rule we are creating? The first rule is basically outbound security rules and settings. So this rule is basically allowing service stack virtual network. Okay, now I'll draw this again on the whiteboard. Okay, let's create network security group we are creating. In this network security group, we are going to create outbound rule. Okay, this is what you need to understand. This is so thick. The first rule number one, source. Now, these are nothing but the access rules or the communication policies which you are creating in network security group, wherein you define the source network, source service, destination network, destination service, and the port numbers. So source is going to be virtual network. So from virtual network, and destination is going to be service tab. So destination is the service tab. Now, what is the service tag? And this is service tag is storage. So basically, we're creating a firewall energy rule for storage access. And we are going to allow the destination port 445. The port number is 445. What is the port number 445 used for? Any idea? 445 is nothing but the SMB port number. 445. This is used for file share access. That means if you have a file server locally on your network, let's say this is your file server, and this is your computer user machine, and you want to access. There's a file share here on your file server data. This is a file share, for example, and if you want to access this file share from a user machine, and if this file server has a firewall activated, Let's say there's a firewall which is controlling access. In our case, we are using NSG. So this is an example. I'm just giving an example, quick example. So if you want to allow this access, this user access this file share, so what you will have to do, if you have the firewall activated, you will have to create a rule for allowing access on port 445. So here the source will be this machine, destination will be this machine, and port number will be 445. So if you have the firewall activated on the server, this is what you have to do to make sure that the users can access the file share. So now we are trying to control access to the storage in similar way with the help of NSG. Okay, so what is the rule says? It says protocol, any protocol, port number is 445, protocol is any, in this example. Any, and then action is allow. Action equals allow. Okay, and priority, rule priority, you have seen, we have also seen this in earlier cases, 100. How does this number matter? And the name of the rule is going to be storage all, allow storage. You can name it anything. So this is one rule set we are creating. And then for this, we'll see what we have. Let's create that rule. Are we still doing it? Network security groups. Okay. Let's create a network security group. The name of the network security group is this, NSG storage. It's going to be part of resource group test RG. That's the name of the network security group. And it's going to be in East US. Review and create it. Remember, the group itself doesn't have anything, any restrictions, unless it is assigned to a specific virtual network or the subnet. So once that is created, we'll go ahead and create the outbound network security group rule. This should be big because it doesn't really deploy any resource on the background, right? So this is the energy storage network security group, and in this you have inbound security rules and the outbound security rules, right? And you know that for each of these there are some default rules created for inbound as well as outbound. If you want to refer this topic, you might see the earlier recordings where we have explanation of all these rule sets. Now we are going to create the rule set for outbound. Just follow this process. So service tag, source is going to be service tag, service tag. Now these service tags are created by Microsoft Azure. So you don't have control over it. You don't know, you just make use of it. So for example, here we are going to create use storage, right? No, virtual network. The source is going to be virtual network. So it's going to be virtual network. So that means the whole virtual network what you have created, it covers the whole IP range of that virtual network. So service tag, virtual network, source port range is going to be default. Port range, source port, we are not defining it. Destination port. In the destination, we are again choosing the service tag. You can see the options are any IP address, my IP address, service tag, or the application security group. We have seen what the application security group is used for. Now let's look at service tag. So I'm going to use the service tag and it's going to be storage service. So these service tags are created by Microsoft itself. Okay, then the next column is service custom. We are leaving this as custom, and then the port number we are allowing is the 445. 445. That means SMB protocol, which is used for file share access. And it's going to be any protocol. The action is going to be allow, and the priority of the rule is going to be 100. Okay, and the name of the firewall rule is going to be allow storage all. Right, you can add the description if you want for every rule which you create. But remember, it's very difficult to the NSG rule sets are an overhead, admin overhead. It will be difficult for you to manage the rules. So that's why Microsoft recommends that you create the service network security rules based on these subnets instead of doing it on every individual server or the VM. So let's create this rule. That's one rule we have created, and we are going to create one more rule. That's also going to be in the outbound rules. I'll explain you in the whiteboard again what exactly we are doing here. Service stack. So we are going to use service stack source, virtual network again. Source port range is star destination. Now here you see the difference in the destination. We are using service stack again, but not the storage. We are going to use internet. And what are we going to do with this internet access? Destination port range is going to be uh, star actually. That's the star, right? Yes, star property. That means any destination, not any specific port. So any protocol and deny access. So we are denying internet access with this rule set, and the rule priority is going to be 110. It's going to be 110, and it's going to be having this name: deny internet all. So this really matters where exactly you apply these rule sets. We got these rule sets created. Now in the search box in the network security group, energy storage, subnet settings associate. So we are in the network security group. We have created these outbound rules. You can see the priority matters. The least the number has the priority. That means this rule will be processed first, and this rule will be processed the next. Right. So now, before that, I'll explain what we have done. So until now, we have just created the rules. This is rule number 1, and the rule number 2, what we have done is this source, VNet again, destination is going to be service stack, and in the service stack, we are specifying internet. Okay, as I told you, the service stacks are created and managed by Microsoft itself. Storage, internet, what is there behind, we don't know. But for your understanding, you should know that when you say use this service stack, that means you are referring to the whole internet actually. And here you're referring to the Microsoft storage service when you use the storage. And what are we doing here? We are saying destination any port number any. We have given star property, right? That means any port, and protocol also any. Right? And action is going to be deny. And the rule priority is going to be 101. So these are the two rules we have created now in this NSG, network security group. But it is not assigned to anything. Unless you assign this network security group to a subnet, where all you can assign this network security group, on which levels you can assign it. A question to you guys again. If you can answer this. If no, I'll tell you. This can be assigned on a subnet level or a VM level. So you can assign the network security group at 2 levels, subnet, or the VM. Clear? So far, we have just created the network security group. We have created the rules in it, but it is not associated anywhere to any network subnet or any virtual machine. Now, next, we are going to link this to a specific subnet. Okay, this steps this steps required to restrict access to resources created through other services, which are enabled for service endpoints. Okay, let's not go through it. Okay, at this stage, now we are going to create a storage account. Now, to see this in action, service endpoint, we are building this whole network. We are building a storage account and see in practical how exactly it works. So in the network diagram again, I'm going to that diagram. So now we are creating a storage account. Okay, and it is going to be a file share storage. We'll see how we can configure this as a file share. Okay, let's do that. It will make more sense when you see everything working together. Okay. I hope you guys are not getting bored and you are able to understand what I'm trying to explain. This is the most, I mean, the labs are the most exciting part of this training, wherein you actually practically see whatever you're discussing, whatever you're seeing on the whiteboard. And this is exciting for those who has not worked on the Azure platform, and this is the first time. So, so let's create the storage. I'm creating the storage account. What is the name of the storage? So let's follow this. It's going to be part of the same resource group. And the name of the storage, you can give any name, but it has to be a unique name because this name will be available over the internet access. So no two storage accounts in Azure, the whole Azure platform can have the same name. So I'll create, what is the name I should use? Storage. Let's say, let's go by the date, 14/12/2025. So it makes sure that no other storage account has the same name. Okay, that's fine. And we are going to place it in the same region, ES2, ECS2, and it's going to be a standard storage here. Standard recommended for most scenarios, yes. And we are going to create a local redundant storage. That means you will have a redundant copy only locally within the Azure region, in across two availability zones, 2 or 3, depending on the region what you're choosing. Review and create it. So simply we are just creating a storage account here. Okay, let's create the storage account. And then the next step is we are going to create a file share. So now what are we trying to do? We have created the storage account. Now we want to use that storage account as a file server. So we have to create a file shares and make use of it. What is the name of the storage we have given? That is important. Uh, what was the name? I forgot. Okay, the resource is created. So it is storage 14/12/2025. That's the name of the storage. 14/12/2025. Okay, that's important. Okay, the storage account is created. Now let's create the file share. We are already in the storage account. So we go to data storage and file shares. Data storage. Okay, file share. Then the file share, we are going to create a new file share. Okay, and this is the name we are going to give it. New file share. Name of the file share. Okay. Leave the default transaction optimized. That's fine. You can see the file share will have maximum IOPS supported, and this is the maximum capacity you can have for your file share. This is by default it is giving you can adjust this later. Next step is enable backup. We are actually disabling the backup on this. So you know that when you if it is a production environment, when you are provisioning a file share for your of official data and the business data, you will definitely have the backup activated for it. You don't want to lose the data in case of any disaster. So backups will help you in restoring the data and the accidental deletion as well as in any disasters. So review and create. So we have just created the file share now. The next step is, so what is the file share we have created? So let's go back to this. So in the storage account, we have activated. So this file share will be now accessible with this path //storage 14 12 20 25 / file dash here. Okay, this is the file share we have created. So you can see that your file share is created. You have this file share available, and you can modify the changes. You can assign the permission. You can do everything what you can do on your on-prem scenario on the on-prem file server. Excuse me. So let's go to the next step. Okay, it says here, if you read by default, storage account accepts network connection from clients in any network, right? If you look at the diagram, you have created the storage account, and by default, this storage account will have a public IP assigned. That means it can be accessed anywhere from the internet as long as you have access proper permission to access it, right? So let's see what we are doing now. So it says by default, storage account accept network connections from clients in any network, including the internet. You can restrict network access from the internet and all other subnets in all virtual networks, except this subnet private. Okay, so what we're doing is now we are restricting access to the storage. Let's say this is a very critical file share you have, and you don't want it to be accessible over the internet, and you want it to have access only for a specific subnet, wherein you have some specific servers. So let's see this. In this, we are going to activate access only for VNet subnet private. So what are we doing for that? We are going to the storage account. We are going to security plus networking tab. We are in security networking tab already, I think. Yes. And we are going to the networking tab. And in the firewalls and virtual networks tab, enable from selected virtual networks. Where is that? Firewalls and virtual network tab. See, we don't have anything called firewalls and network access tab. As I told you, Microsoft keeps updating and enhancing the portal, Azure portal. That's why you don't see the option here, what the lab says. Sorry, I'm going to the storage again. So you should have some idea of what you are trying to do. Then you'll easily read the option what you're looking for. So we are now trying to restrict access to the storage. Okay, we don't want anyone and everyone to have access. So you can see here by default, public network access is enabled for all the networks. So this is what we want to do. We want to remove all network access and uh, only allow the existing subnet, which is the private subnet, the subnet private. So I'm going now, let's look at this, click manage. And here you have the option. Public network access scope, enable from all networks, or you can enable from selected networks. So I'm going to go to the selected networks. And here we can see that option, add existing virtual network or new virtual network. So we are going to go and choose the existing virtual network, what we have. And you can see that it's showing me the VNet one, which we created. And in that VNet, again, you have to select a specific subnet. So you can, in this example, in this lab, we are allowing access to this only from subnet private. Click add. Okay. And save this. So what we have done so far, you can see here in the whiteboard again. I have not applied the energy rule set. You should notice that. I've only what I've done is on the storage level, we have an option to control the access, public access, right? So in the public access, I've removed everyone and just said that only VNet 1, and in the VNet 1 subnet, which is a private subnet, we have selected specifically, should have access to this storage, right? This is what we have done on the storage level. We have not yet applied the energy rule sets on anywhere. Okay, so I'm explaining you to the on the whiteboard again, so that you understand what we are doing exactly. Okay, now we have associated the subnet, deploy the virtual machines to subnets. Now we are going to create some VMs so that we can see the access. So let's see what VMs we are creating. This should be familiar for you guys now. We have been creating the virtual machines in multiple labs. So I'm not going to explain everything. I'm just quickly going to go through this. So we are going to select the resource group. We are going to select VM1. Resource group is going to be same resource group, test RG. Virtual machine name is VM1. ECS is the zone. We don't want any redundancy. We want a standard security, and we need Windows Server. Let's say this one. Okay. And the size should be okay. We'll just leave that as this. And the username password, which you need to log into the server. Okay. Now let's see what else we have. So no redundancy for this server. It's going to be standard. This image, 64 architecture, username, password, and importantly, this is what we are changing here. We are not enabling any public endpoint ports. Okay, why are we doing that? I'll tell you. We are saying no public endpoint. That means I'll tell you what exactly it means. So here, sorry, expand this. So in this subnet, we are creating a virtual machine 1. And for this virtual machine, we are not activating the public access. Why? Because we have a bastion host already deployed. So our VM should not doesn't require a public access, IP address in order for an administrator to manage through over the internet. So what will admin do? You as an administrator, you will log into the portal, Azure portal, right? And from through Azure portal, you will connect to that VM through the bastion host, and this bastion host will make a connection to your Windows server. If it is a Windows server, it will use something called RDP. If it is a Linux server, what does it use? Anyone? If you're still awake, Junaid, Faja,
Yes,
Junaid, I would prefer an answer from you.
SSH.
Sorry, SSH.
SSH.
That's right. So if it is a Windows server, it uses RDP protocol. If it is a Windows Linux server, it will use SSH to access that particular server, right? So we are going to disable the, as per the lab, we are going to disable access to the VM directly. Next, we are going to the networking tab now, which we might not have done before in creating the virtual machines. So I'm going straight away to the networking tab. And here it's just asking to confirm it's going to be part of VNet 1 and it's going to be part of subnet 1. Yes, it is a subnet 1. Public IP none. Public IP address none. That means you're removing public IP from your virtual machine. And if you don't have the bastion, is there a way to access that VM? A question to you guys again. If I'm creating a virtual machine, I'm removing the public access from it, and I don't have the bastion set up.
Yes,
What
yes,
is the
we
other way?
can. We have to allow the RDP on the
Hmm.
RDP on the
RDP.
VM.
No, VM. When I remove the public IP access, I don't have a public
Uh-huh.
IP assigned to that VM. So
Okay,
you
okay.
activating RTP will not enable the
Okay.
public IP. There's no way. If you don't have,
There is no way. Public IP,
you
yes.
can't. You cannot access that VM. You don't have a public IP assigned to the VM. You don't have a Bastion network or the setup for the Bastion. There's no way you can access that virtual machine and log in and manage it. Unless
Okay.
there's another way. There's one way you can do it. If you have a site-to-site VPN from
Hmm.
your on-prem network,
Yes, agree, agree.
got it? Let's say
Yes.
you have an on-prem scenario. You're having a VPN connection from your on-prem network to the Azure cloud. Then
Azure
from your
cloud.
own network, you can access that server over that particular IP sector channel.
Okay.
Right?
Got
Let's
it.
carry on with this one. So we are going to advanced tab here. Uh, right, well, there's advanced public IP none. Okay, in network security group. So in the network security group, we are going to select advanced and configure network security group. Create new group. So we are creating a network security group again here. Sorry, there's that. Network security group. Yeah, create a new one. Give it a name. Fine. Leave the default okay. Review and create it. So we are creating one more network security group, but this network security group is directly assigned to this virtual machine. It's a default network security group. Okay, after this, so here you have a note here. You can see virtual machine in the virtual network with the Bastion host does not need public IP address. Bastion provides a public IP and the VMs use private IP to communicate within the network. So you can remove the public IPs from any VM in Bastion hosted virtual network. Right? Let's create the second virtual machine. It says follow the same steps. Create it. So we are creating one more virtual machine. For this time, we are going to place it in a different subnet. Okay, let's carry on with our task. Okay. Okay, so again, resource group, a mandatory field, and we're creating a virtual machine now with the name VM-private, same region with no redundancy, Windows Server as an operating system, standard version, creating a username password for logging in. Right? And we are going to create disable the public IP access. And then we'll have to go to the network tab. and it says subnet private. We have to select the subnet. Now we are going to place this virtual machine in this subnet. So what we are doing here different. So we have created a VM1 in subnet 1. Now we're creating one more VM in this particular subnet, private VM. And public access none. No public, sorry, not this one. So just say none. Okay. And network security group none. We are not applying any network security group rule on this particular virtual machine. It's going to be none. Review and create it. Okay, so what have we done so far? Again, the whiteboard. So, see, this is all we have done so far. We have created virtual network. We have created what different subnets, bastion network, NSG rules rule group, and two rules in that storage account, and we have configured storage to be accessible only from this VM, from this subnet. So we have activated storage access only from this subnet. Now we have two virtual machines created. This virtual machine also have a network security group created, NSG1, with the default rules. Default communication rules. There's no problem with it. This is what we have done so far. Now confirm accessing the storage. We are doing all of this to confirm this access. So the virtual machine you created earlier that is assigned to subnet private. Subnet is used to confirm access to the storage account. The virtual machine you created in the previous section that is assigned to subnet 1. Subnet 1 is used to confirm that the access to the storage account is blocked. So now it says that this storage account which we have created, right? Now this should not be accessible to this VM, and it should be accessible to this VM, right? This is all the configuration we have done so far. But we have not applied any rules, right? This rules what we have created, did we apply this rule anywhere? Let's go back and check one step back. Let's go up. So we have created virtual network and bastion host. Restrict network access for subnet. Now we have to associate the group, right? Let's see. So we skipped that part. We created the rules. Here we are associating this network security group. So we are going to network security group. Again, let's go to that network security group. In the network security group, NSG storage, subnet settings. Okay, this is the storage network security group which we have created. Can verify that by going to the rules which we have done. There should be two rules we have created. Yes, allow storage access, deny internet access. So in this network security group, we are going to now select subnets, okay, and associate. Then this one we are going to select VNet 1 and the subnet private. Subnet private. Okay. So I'll explain you on the board now what we have done. So this, which you have seen, network security group which we created with the rule sets in outbound. Okay, one says the first rule says from virtual network source destination service tag, which is nothing but storage, and it works on port 445 protocol any allow access. Okay, so from this VM, I should be able to access this storage. That's the first rule. Second rule is from source virtual network destination internet. And what is going to happen? Deny access. So this virtual machine will have access to the storage account, but it will not have access to internet. So let's say this is the internet cloud. So the internet will not work for this VM. Okay, but does VM1 will have access to internet? My question to you guys. Will it have internet access? Raja or Junaid?
Yeah. No, public IP do not assign,
Internet
no?
access. No, doesn't matter. We are talking about internet access, not accessing the VM. Accessing internet from that VM. These are two different things. Don't
Yeah,
confuse.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. The first one was accessing the virtual machine over internet from our own machines.
Okay.
Okay, we removed the access to that. We substituted that with the Bastion host. Now, let's say you are an admin, you logged into this virtual machine through Bastion. You are on VM1. You have access to the VM1 dashboard, the console, right? Desktop access. Now, from that server, will you be able to access internet or not? Yes. Junaid, it's still there? I don't hear anything from you. Come on, guys. This is the reinforcement of your knowledge.
Yes,
Whatever you're
yes, I'm
learning.
here.
Sorry?
I'm here. I'm
Yes,
hearing.
yes. Are you able to understand what I'm asking? My question is, can I access internet from VM1? This is my VM1 in this scenario, in this lab. Can I access internet from this VM1? Okay, let me show you. Okay, let's not confuse yourself. Hajar, just follow this. What we have done is now this rule set we have attached to this particular subnet associated. So anything on this network, access will be working based on these rules. So from this subnet, private subnet, you're able to see the screen, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So this private subnet, from this private subnet, my virtual machine will not be able to access internet because of this rule. This rule says do not allow internet access. Okay. I can't access internet from that virtual machine. But I should, with this rule number one, I should be able to access internet. Sorry, the storage. So this virtual machine, I can only access the storage, but I cannot access the internet. Let's log into
Internet,
those
okay.
VMs and confirm it.
Okay.
Okay, VM, private VM. Let's check the firewall rules, what we have got here on this VM. Security. See, this VM has now these extra rules which we have created. We assigned the network security group on the subnet, but everything, whatever there under the subnet, all those VM will have the same policy set applied. So this, based
Correct,
on
correct,
these rule
correct.
sets, I should be able to access storage
Storage,
is
not deny
allowed.
internet.
I should
Yes,
not be able to access internet. Okay,
yes. Agree,
let's
agree,
connect to this
agree.
VM. Now I'll connect to this VM via Bastion because I can't directly connect it. Okay. Meanwhile, I will also log into the other VM. No, I think Bastion. Okay, we are we are not deploying the free version of Bastion, right? We should go to access. With the free version of Bastion, you can only access one virtual machine at a time, and we have not done that. So I should be able to access both the virtual machines at the same time. Connect via Bastion. I'm connecting to the other virtual machine. Okay, so now I'm accessing two virtual machines. Which one is this? Let's confirm this. Hostname. This is my VM private, which is in the subnet. This one, right? This is the VM, and this one is. See which one is this? Hostname. Sorry. This is my VM1. Now, what should I be able to access from VM1? By default, we have, you remember while creating the virtual machine one, VM1, we have created a network security group, but it has default rules. That means from this virtual machine, we should be able to access internet without any problem. Right? So from VM1, this is VM1. This is VM1, right? This is my machine. Right? Okay, sorry, I think I got disconnected from the VM. Okay, let's check this VM. I'm on VM private now. From here, internet should not work because the network security rules which we have applied says do not allow internet access. Okay. So it should not work. And I should be able to access storage. Now, how do we check the storage access? Let's see.
I think with the URL, I think.
UMC path.
Yeah, UNC pass, yes.
Yeah, we should be able to access it with the UMC path. MSG storage. No, not this. This is the network security group. Where is your storage account? And here we have Azure files, no file. Which one we created? Azure files or file share? We created the file share, right? And storage center, not the storage account. 1 second. This is our storage. In this storage, we have created storage file shares. Okay. So how can you access this file share? You should be able to access it with the UNC path. Let's check this. You can also access it with the URL. Let's check this access. Below. Okay, so basically you need to map this right. Let's use this script. It gives you what letter you want to use. So let's say I want to use E letter and show the script. So you'll have to use the script to map this on my on the virtual machine. I'm taking this. I'm going to the PowerShell. On my subnet server. right? We should be able to connect to this. Okay, let's see if we have the drive mapped. Oh, it's not mapped. I don't know what happened. Do we have any error here? Now it is connected. Okay, so we got the drive mapped. We should be having, see, this is your storage. Now you're able to access your storage from the Windows server. And this is, we are doing this over the service endpoint. That means we are not accessing the storage over the internet. We have restricted access to the storage over only for this particular virtual network. Now, same thing if we try on the other VM. Let me go to that VM. Come on, it's taking a long time. Virtual machine. So what is the UNC path it shows you? You see, it uses this name for accessing it. Storage name dot file dot co dot windows dot net. We'll see. This is the file share. This is the exact name it is using to access it. So if you use this, for example, go to run, and you can type this and see you can access the file share and create any files or folders there. Test. And this is all you're doing on your data is being stored on a storage account now. Come on, what happened to this? So from this virtual machine, based on our network security rules what we have created, we're able to access the storage account, but we are not able to access the internet. Whereas on the other virtual machine, VM1, we should be able to access the internet, but not the storage account. Let's confirm that as well. VM1. Okay, I'm on another server now. I'm a little confused with this screen. So which one is which? Let's see this. Okay. Right, you can see internet is accessible on this virtual machine. Because by default, every virtual machine which you create will have internet access. That means from that virtual machine, you can access the internet. So uh, removing the public IP while creating the VM does not have anything to do with the internet access. That is about only restricting access to your virtual machine over internet. Clear? Now let's try and map the drive, storage drive here. So the storage again. What is that? Storage account. File share. And we use this option connect. We'll use letter Z anyway, that's fine. The script. We'll copy the script. Now we go to the VM1. I'm on VM1 right now. First name, confirm VM1, yes. Now let's try to map that drive here. Okay. And this access should fail because what we have done, let's see if we are able to connect and you have access denied, right? So this confirms you whatever you have done in the lab is working. And you have done so much for just testing this service endpoint. and it's a good actually learning. This doing these labs wherein you're touching different components in order to test one particular service. So you should actually understand when you're creating this lab, doing the labs, follow the practice what I've done right now in this demo. Draw the diagram on, take a pen and paper, draw the diagram, put all the components in place, what you're doing, and how each component is linking to other component. This will really enforce your learning and give you very good understanding and the confidence. I hope this is clear. This is so we have done
Yes.
this only to see service endpoints, how the service endpoints work. So you might ask how do we use this? This really comes down to your design when you're implementing it in the real world. You should know that there is something called service endpoint, and this is how it works. Really, so you can fit those components in your design. Okay, where do I need the service endpoint? Where do I need NSG rule sets? How do I control access to this? How should I limit access to my storage account? All of this matters when you sit and design, at a bigger level. So when you're designing a network, when you're designing a solution for a customer or for your company, this things will really help you. Now, next one was private endpoint. Let's see if you have any lab for that. But the lab thing is taking too much time, so I don't think we can cover any other new topics today. But just tell me if this is helpful or not. If you want to continue with the theory part, we can do that. But then doing this lab, I'm 100% sure doing this lab with on your own, you might not have the full understanding of what you're doing. You might see the results, yes, because you're following step-by-step procedure. You might see the result, access is allowed, access is denied. That's all. That is only to satisfy yourself that you have done the lab, but without understanding anything what you have done. Okay, so let me see what lab we have. How big is that for the virtual for the private endpoint?
I have a doubt, sir,
Yes, what?
that
That's a very good news.
we have created the service endpoint, right?
Yes, yeah.
So we can create for any services the
Most of
service
the
endpoints.
services, yes.
Like
Supported
we have
services. There are
now we have created for storage
only for
account
storage
for
we have
file
done.
sharing.
Yes,
So we can create with any other services also.
yes. There are there are limited services, but yes, you can do it for other services as well. In this example, we have particularly looked at storage.
Okay.
I think this is what we have done right now. Service endpoints, that's done, which is the other lab. Let me see. Okay, this is create a private endpoint DNS infrastructure with Azure Private Endpoint. This is again a very big lab. This will consume the whole session for our practice. But actually, I'll just give you the example, high level explanation. You might want to do this on your own. So just follow the same, process what I've done. Understand what the lab is about. Uh, Take a pen and paper, draw each component which you're building. For example, here it says create virtual network and Azure Bastion host. You know the process already, how it should be very quick for you. Create cloud virtual network. What is this one? This is something new. Okay. So what it is doing, this lab is basically simulating on-prem setup and cloud network. So you're creating everything in the cloud, but you're simulating as though this is your private network, and this is your public network, the cloud network. It will be good if we can do this together. And this is really time consuming. We won't be able to finish everything in our course. So I suggest you can do this on your own. And we'll take a break now. There will be a prayer time here. Just let me see.
Question. When
Yes,
I'm
yes,
doing it
sure.
on my own and I have certain questions, can I reach out to you? Is it fine?
Of course, anytime. You might
Alright,
have
thank
some delay in response, but I'll definitely
you.
get back to you.
No worries, no worries. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
You're most welcome. Right, guys, so we'll take a break now. Half an hour break, and we'll catch up after that. We'll try to cover some topics, theoretical topics, and then carry on from the next session. Okay, I'll be back
Okay, done.
with you in half an hour.